What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope y'all are doing well. Today's video is going to be quite a bit more graphic than the last few that I've posted, so viewer discretion is advised for gore. It's quite atrocious what this woman did to her lover back in 2000. Today's video is going to be covering Katherine Knight. If you guys enjoy the video, please subscribe, share it wherever you can, like and comment what you want to see next, and let's get into it. Katherine Mary Knight was born on October 24th, 1955 in Tenterfield, Australia. If you don't know where this is, well, neither do I. Let's look it up real quick. Hold up. Alright, let's see here. Tenterfield, Australia. What the hell? Alright, let's zoom out. It's closer to Brisbane than I thought it would be. Anyway, Katherine was born after an affair between her mother and father. It was a rather scandalous affair because her mother had 4 other kids with 4 other different men, and when the affair between the two went public, the small conservative town was shaken up. Her early life wasn't healthy at all. Her father was a raging alcoholic who claimed to have raped her mother multiple times a day, and Katherine claimed to have been sexually assaulted by multiple people until she was 11 years old, though never by her father. Katherine's school life wasn't much better. She was known in the community to be a bully who would terrorize smaller children. She never cared about learning to read or write, and never did well in school. Around the age of 15, she dropped out of school and never finished. Shortly after dropping out, Katherine scored her dream job, working in a slaughterhouse. Slaughterhouse jobs are pretty self-explanatory, but why did she enjoy disemboweling cow carcasses? Who knows? But according to Peter Lalor's Bloodstain, quote, she enjoyed her job so much she hung her first set of butcher's knives above her bed, end quote. Kind of strange, isn't it? By this time, Katherine had moved to Aberdeen, Australia. In the mid-1970s, Katherine married her first husband, David Kellett. On the night of their wedding, she attempted to murder Kellett after 3 rounds of sex. Kellett fell asleep, but Katherine wanted a 4th round, so she attempted to strangle Kellett, but wasn't able to end him that night. Guess he wasn't up to the task. This is really off topic, but the subreddit this photo took me to was amazing. Burnt this lint-free cloth onto my cast iron. Help. Anyway, while very pregnant, she burnt all of Kellett's clothes and shoes and clocked him in the head with a frying pan, hence why I used the photo. Why, though? My mans came home late after making the finals in a darts competition. To be fair to Katherine, though, Kellett wasn't the most faithful person ever. He had multiple affairs and even tried leaving Katherine and their 2 daughters in the middle of the night. He's kind of a deadbeat. In response to finding out about Kellett's affairs, Katherine placed their newborn child on some train tracks shortly before a train was due to arrive. Luckily, though, the train never arrived and the baby was spared from being flattened. The violence continued for about 10 years until the couple's divorce in the 1980s. Katherine's next relationship was with David Saunders, who she met in 1986. What's with all these Davids? Saunders was a local miner at the time, and a couple months after they began dating, Saunders moved in with Katherine and her 2 daughters. Though he moved in with the girls and Katherine, he kept his own apartment, which made Katherine jealous and irritated. This relationship also became violent. This next part is really sad and gruesome, so beware. About a year into the pair's relationship, Katherine slit the throat of a puppy in front of Saunders and threatened him by saying she'd do the same to him if he ever cheated on her. All things considered, a year after the puppy incident, the pair had a daughter together. This brings whack-job Katherine's child count up to 3 children with 2 different men, and shortly after the birth of her 3rd daughter, Saunders left Katherine after she smacked him in the face with an iron and stabbed him in the tum-tum with a pair of scissors. Moving on to Katherine's next relationship, which was with a man named John Chillingworth, and surprisingly this was a rather chill relationship. The 2 stayed together for 3 years and even had a son together who they named Eric. This was Katherine's 4th child, which brings the total up to 4 kids with 3 different men. This relationship had no reported violence, which was an absolute shock considering Katherine's volatile past, but it ended after John found out about Katherine's affair with a man named John Charles Thomas Price. John Charles Thomas Price, or better known by the Aberdeen community as Pricey, was a local popular figure. He was considered a top bloke with a charismatic, charming demeanor. Seems like a pretty good dude, in my opinion. He had 2 older children of his own and made a comfortable amount of money as a miner as well. The pair were enjoying a nice romantic relationship and apparently had a vigorous sex life. When Katherine asked to marry John and he declined, she became violent once again. She reportedly framed John for stealing from his own company and got him fired from his job. He appropriately responded to this by kicking her ass out. Not too long later, they began seeing each other again, but Price refused to let Katherine stay at his house anymore, and this escalated Katherine's violence to a new level. In February of 2000, Price and Katherine had an argument so volatile that it ended in Katherine trying to stab Price in the chest. He managed to fight her off and even filed a restraining order against her to try and protect his children. At the end of the month, Price told one of his coworkers that he feared for his life, and if he ever went missing, it's because Katherine killed him. Sad to say, his fear was correct. During this time, even though he refused at first to let her move back in with him, she did move back in, as some reports might suggest. On February 29, 2000, Price came home from work and did his usual stuff before going to bed, including checking in with his neighbors. Not long after 11 p.m., Katherine got home, made herself some dinner, watched some TV, took a shower, and went upstairs. She woke Price, the two did the dirty, of course, naturally, and Price went back to bed. Remember how earlier in the story I told you that Katherine kept butcher knives above her bed? Well, she went to her room, grabbed one, went back to Price's room, and stabbed him about 37 times, according to evidence, and reports also suggest Price woke up during the stabbing but couldn't fight back. Sadly, Price died from his stab wounds, and then Katherine dragged his corpse to the living room. Just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a warning. This next part is very, very graphic. In case you're squeamish, you might want to skip ahead a couple of minutes just to, get out of there. But let's get back into it. After dragging Price's corpse to the living room, Katherine skinned him and hung his skin on a meat hook in the living room. Female Hannibal Lecter over here, what the hell? She then decapitated Price's skinless corpse and chopped his body up into little pieces. She's a very experienced butcher, so she knows how to fillet a body. Katherine cooked up Price's chunks into a stew, which also had an assortment of vegetables, including potatoes, pumpkins, beets, a bunch of other vegetables as well, and gravy. After she did this crime and apparently ate parts of Price, she laid next to his mutilated corpse and popped a load of pills. The next day, March 1st, 2000, Price's coworkers remember what he said in the weeks prior and called the police. The local cops arrived and Sergeant Robert Wells was the first to witness the horrifying scene. According to Sergeant Wells himself, quote, "I walked inside and saw the human skin pelt hung up, completely intact, in one piece," end quote. Next to the skin pelt, Price's decapitated body was lying on the floor. The cops then went into the kitchen and found a pot on the stove like this one. When they opened up the pot, they found Price's head boiled and cooked with vegetables. They also found 2 servings of Price and vegetables on the table with 2 names in front of the plates. The 2 names in front of the plates were those of Price's own children. Luckily, they never got to eat their father, but still an unsettling discovery nonetheless. The police detained the comatose Katherine. When Katherine woke up from her drug-induced coma state, she had no recollection of the events of the night she killed Price. Although she couldn't remember, she was charged with murder still. After it was determined that Katherine was lucid and not suffering from any mental health conditions, Sergeant Wells sat down to talk with her. The interview with Katherine got no admission of any crimes and didn't show any remorse for killing Price. It did reveal the past examples of violence through Katherine's life and past relationships. In late 2001, Katherine's trial commenced, but didn't get too far. She changed her plea to guilty, and the judge, Justice Barry O'Keefe, adjourned the case without any testimony. She was escorted to prison the same day as her trial, and the judge ordered Katherine's papers be marked never to be released. This marks the first time in Australia's history that a woman was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. When speaking about the case, Justice O'Keefe stated Katherine did not qualify for mercy because of her vicious and cruel behavior. To this day, Katherine has maintained her innocence and refuses to take any accountability for the heinous crimes she committed. She's 69 as of 2024 and continues to serve her life sentence. After being one of the first people to witness the crime, Sergeant Wells was diagnosed with severe chronic post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. Katherine has appealed her sentence before, and the appeal was immediately denied. Katherine is serving her sentence at the Silverwater Women's Correctional Centre in Silverwater, Australia. Alright everyone, we made it to the end of the video. That was a really gruesome step, but it sets up well for the rest of the crimes that I'm going to cover and the rest of the aviation accidents as well that I want to cover. If you guys enjoyed the video, please subscribe, like, comment what you want to see next, and make sure you share it to everyone you know. And I'll see you guys in the next video.